Once in a while, I get that itch of sewing something different than I would usually go for. Like, you know, those types of clothes you see online that maybe you're a little bit too scared to sew because you don't know if you're actually going to do a good job. I have done a few projects like this before, and honestly, all of them have turned out really good. Today I'm going to be sewing a maxi lace dress. I've always seen these types of black dresses with a nude color fabric under it that I just think looks so elegant, so chic. I want to prove myself that I can make this beautiful garment by myself using a pattern from iClo. To be honest, using iClo is going to be a huge help. I don't have to think about the pattern. I actually already printed it out and I filmed my process creating the pattern. So I'm going to show you how you can create your own pattern for this garment as well. And it's time for me to finally make myself one. I usually don't work with lace. It can be a little bit tricky depending on the fabric you choose, but I do think that the fabric I chose will work really nicely and will sew really easily. So hopefully I'm not wrong. So today I'm going to show you how you can make the pattern and a little bit of behind the scenes of the process of how I sew my dress. Obviously, these types of patterns, you can always choose what fabric you'd like, what colors, everything. I just went with lace because I wanted to challenge myself. So let's see how it turns out. As I said, I printed out the pattern already and I trimmed off all the corners. This is a new method I've been trying out to assemble patterns, and it's really good. Actually, it takes a shorter time than it usually would with my regular method of assembling patterns. So I'm going to go ahead, assemble the pattern, and cut out all of my pattern pieces. And before I forget, let me show you how beautiful this lace is. I think it's so delicate. It's not stretchy, so it's just perfect for what I need. And I chose this for the lining, and just look how pretty it looks with the lace on top of it. It has kind of like a vintage look to it, which I absolutely love. I think this is going to turn out so great. So let's get on with the pattern. If you're new here, I make all of these patterns on iClo.com, and here you can find a ton of patterns that you modify into your own size. So it's really simple and quick to make your own accurate patterns. I'm going to be using this paneled dress pattern. I know it's going to look great with the idea that I have, and as soon as it opens up, you'll see a digital avatar, but you have to make sure that you choose the one in your size. I already have mine created. It's this one here called Fabiana, but you could also create yours or anyone else's with just a few measurements. Don't be scared of trying it out. I promise you're going to love it. And as soon as I do that, I like to play around with the colors and the fabric just so it looks a little bit more similar to what my dress will look like. And as for any change you want to make on the pattern, for example, the length, the sleeves, how tight you want it to be, you can also do this on iClo. For this pattern, I want it to be a long maxi dress, so I made sure to click on that. I love the look of the long sleeve, so I'm going to leave that. But something I am noticing is that I do want it to be a little bit tighter. So after scrolling around and searching throughout what I could change, I found this sizing option here, and I reduced it to about 12%, which I think is going to be tighter, but we don't want it to be too tight because it'll be uncomfortable to wear, and we don't want that to happen. And honestly, that's all I'm going to be doing to this pattern. One of my favorite features on iClo is that you can use this textile calculator to see how much fabric you're going to need. So that's what I always use to check. Remember that you can modify depending on your likeness and what you prefer on your patterns. But now that I know that mine is ready, I just save my project. Remember to do this because if not, you won't have your pattern saved. And then you can just go ahead and download it. I always download mine in US letter because that's the printing settings I use. But there's tons of formats, and I wanted to show you how the pattern looks as soon as you download it and all that you get in that document. I have it printed out already here, and I'm just going to assemble it as I normally would with any sewing pattern. As you might know, I've never sewn this pattern before, so I decided that I wanted to cut my pieces on the lining first so I could sew and see how it fits on me, and in case I have to modify anything, I'll do that on the lining and then cut the main fabric. Okay, so I first cut all of my pattern pieces, but only on the lining fabric because I want to sew that first and make sure it fits how I want it to fit. And if I want to alter it, I'll alter the lining before cutting the actual main fabric. So I'm going to start piecing all of the panels together and then I'll go back to the main fabric. Okay, so here's a quick update on how the dress is going. As you know, I'm just sewing the lining for now, and I'm so happy because I just kind of tried on the top part of the lining and it fits me perfectly, like a glove. So I just know this dress is going to turn out so, so beautiful. I want to show you how it looks. This is the front of the top, and the back, I obviously left the center back open because we're going to attach an invisible zipper there. And this is the lower or the skirt part. I'm going to attach both of them together as well. And this is how it looks. You can clearly see all of the panels, and I think it's going to look really pretty with the black lace. You'll really be able to see the different panels with that fabric as well. So I know it's going to look so pretty. So yeah, I'm going to attach both of those together, and then I can just start working with my main fabric. I almost forgot, I also have to attach the sleeves onto the lining. So here I have both of my sleeves. I turned this inside out, and this is with the right side out. And remember, the sleeves are not the same for each side, so you have to find which side goes on the left and which side goes on the right. You can do that by using the notches as a guide. And my favorite way to attach sleeves is basically just pulling the sleeve into the body of the garment and start by aligning the notches and the side seam. So you align the side seam on the sleeve with the side seam on the dress. And then you continue by matching all of the notches. Okay, so it's the next day and I already cut all of my pattern pieces in the lace fabric. So I'm basically going to repeat the entire process I did with lining with this new pattern pieces. Super important, remember to press after every seam. Since I'm using the lace trim for the hem of the dress, I start by lining up from the bottom towards the top because I don't want this to look all crooked or maybe one panel longer than the other because we can't really trim it. But if you cut everything correctly, you shouldn't really have that problem. So that's a good tip I'll give you if you want to use the trim on any lace. Okay, now I have to press open all of the seams. Okay, so over here I have my two upper back panels, and here I have the back yoke, which is the piece that goes on top of this. And I wanted to show you that for this ones, I actually cut the lace trim over here. This goes on top of this, and I thought it would give it a nice detail if I left the lace trim over there. So I'm going to stitch it over it. So I'm not going to face it right sides together as I usually would because that would just hide the lace trim, but I'm just going to top stitch it here about 2 centimeters from the bottom of the trim upwards, maybe like this. And I think I'm going to do 2 rows of stitches. And I also did this for the front. Quick update on how I'm doing. I want to show you how beautiful the main panel basically is looking like. Everything's attached already. The upper part, the lower part, I'm just missing the sleeves. So I'm going to attach that. And after that, I think I can attach the invisible zipper to this panel and then attach everything together. Okay, so it's a little bit hard to tell right now, but I basically have my outer shell ready. When I say outer shell, I mean like the main fabric already. And as you know, I also have that in the lining. In the back, I already finished attaching the zipper. So right now it's completely see-through, and the only thing I'm missing is to close the center back below the zipper. I'm not quite sure if I want to fully close it because I think I have to leave an opening so it's easy for me to walk in this dress. So I'm going to try it on, measure where I want like the opening slit to start. I'm guessing somewhere here, and the rest I'll leave open, but we would finish those raw edges with the lining. And for the lining, I'm going to go ahead and hem it completely and also hem the sleeves. Okay, so finally the last step, which is joining both together. I think it's going to be pretty simple. What I'm going to do is pull the sleeves into the sleeves of the lining like this, and do the same with the other side, and make sure to align the neckline and the center backs. And I'm going to sew that, leaving a 1 centimeter seam allowance. I'm going to make sure to align all of the seams together, just so that when I flip it inside out, everything matches. After sewing, I just flipped everything inside out, and before I show you the results, I just want to warn you, this dress totally exceeded my expectations. Like, I knew it was going to be beautiful, but just look how gorgeous it looks. I love that because I used lace, I can see the different panels on the dress. Everything matched perfectly. I was sewing, and you can literally tell that it's made for my own body. I did not modify, I did not take in even 1 centimeter anything. This is exactly the pattern that I printed out and how it looks on me. And once again, iClo has proven that what you see on the avatar is what you're going to see on your body. So if you haven't tried it out, I highly recommend it. I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you next week.